Welcome back everyone, it's Charlie. This is going to be my new Venom 2 Spider-Man video. There's a whole bunch of new stuff to break down. I know we got a lot of questions about what's happening this summer in terms of all the movies coming back, movie trailers. When are we going to get the Venom 2 trailer? Tom Holland has also been very active lately because he's getting ready to start filming Uncharted and then Spider-Man 3. So there's a lot of Spider-Man stuff happening for the rest of the year. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. We'll do a new Amazon giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and let me know what kind of Spider-Man cameo you want to see in Venom 2. So just starting with the big stuff first, number 5, what's going on with the Venom 2 trailer, the proper trailer, and what's going on with that movie right now? Because Comic-Con 2020 is happening in about 2 weeks as I'm posting this video right now. They just announced the full schedule of panels that are going to be happening there. Everyone just pre-recorded their panels and they're going to be streaming it online for free. But Andy Serkis, recently, who directed Venom 2, was doing some special charity readings of The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings with a whole bunch of Gollum voice. During that, he revealed all the work that he was doing on Venom 2 from his house because they actually finished filming the movie before the big virus shutdown, fortunately. So they are able to work on the movie during the lockdown.
First of all, I've been very fortunate because I've been able to carry on editing this little number, which is coming your way June next year. And secondly, I want to invite you to come with me on an adventure.
No joke, he's just editing the movie from his house this summer. The post-production is being done elsewhere, but originally Sony had this whole plan for how the Morbius movie was going to cross over with Venom 2, and their shared Spider-Man universe gets bigger with more characters. Then they were going to release Spider-Man 3 after that. It was going to get even bigger. They're going to start slowly getting to their Spider-Man Venom crossover, and it was all going to make sense. They did have a plan for it. So because Venom 2 was originally supposed to come out in October, they actually had the Venom 2 trailer ready to go back in March and April because that's when the first Venom trailers dropped for the very first movie. They have a very reliable marketing schedule for all this kind of footage. But because of the virus, they pushed Venom 2 till June next year, and Morbius is coming out in March, Spider-Man 3 is coming out in November 2021. So the whole big Easter egg Sinister Six, Venom Spider-Man crossover shared universe plan is still intact, but it just means that all the marketing, all the trailers just get pushed down the year. There was a report I saw going around the internet about Sony dropping Venom 2 footage this summer on their own outside of Comic-Con because there is no Sony Pictures panel happening at Comic-Con. There's no Marvel Studios Comic-Con panel either. That's mostly because they're doing their own special Comic-Con event later this year. DC is doing the exact same thing with something called DC Fandom. Marvel did the exact same thing for Marvel Phase 3, so it's not the first time that Marvel's done something like this. We already had the first Morbius trailer. They're probably going to drop the next one around the time Marvel is getting ready to start filming Spider-Man 3, which is supposed to be around September sometime. And they'll probably just wait to release the first big Venom 2 trailer either till November or December when the Black Widow movie comes out. They used to always take footage to Brazil Comic-Con, but we don't know if that's going to happen this year because of the virus. Pretty much every convention, at least the ones in real life, have been canceled. They're all going virtual now. So we'll see what the state of the world is in November. But number 4, as far as big Spider-Man related cameos go, J.K. Simmons already revealed the details of his cameo scene contract for multiple Spider-Man Sony movies. After Spider-Man Far From Home last year, when he showed up, freaked everybody out, he said that he'd actually already filmed his next big cameo scene. He didn't say which movie it was for, but given that he has multiple more cameo scenes on that contract, as you probably guessed, he's probably going to show up in every single one of those Spider-Man-related movies next year. The way he talked about the cameos made it sound like most of them were small background scenes, just like his Spider-Man Far From Home cameo in the post-credit scene.
Conclusive proof that Spider-Man was responsible for the brutal murder of Mysterio.
I know everyone's still scratching their heads trying to figure out how Sony and Marvel are going to handle the Spider-Man crossovers between the MCU and the Sony Spider-Verse. Like, will the J. Jonah Jameson in the Morbius movie be the exact same version as the one from Spider-Man Far From Home? How will they explain that? Morbius is intended to be a direct spin-off of the Venom movies, so those movies already take place on the same world. They just haven't addressed the MCU of it all yet. They already confirmed that Morbius takes place after the events of Spider-Man Far From Home, which is why the Spider-Man Easter egg in the trailer has murderer written on it in graffiti. The current report about the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man costume Easter egg and the other Tobey-era Easter eggs with the Daily Bugle logos and everything in Morbius is that those logos are just designed to be a smokescreen in that first trailer. They're just there to mislead fans, and in post-production, they're going to change those to MCU Easter eggs. So when we actually see the movie next year, it'll be Tom Holland's Spider-Man costume, and it'll be the Daily Bugle logos from this version of the Daily Bugle that we saw in Spider-Man Far From Home. Number 3, Marvel and Kevin Feige explained that the Spider-Man sharing deal allows Sony to reference the events of any MCU movie that Spider-Man has been in. So they can include any kind of Avengers Endgame Easter eggs they want in their Spider-Man movies, but that does not give them access to Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, or the other big actors. They can only talk about or show what happened to Tom Holland's Spider-Man from his perspective. It's a little bit like the Netflix Marvel show's relationship with the MCU movies. Remember how the Netflix shows would always reference the Avengers, but you never really saw Iron Man or Captain America walking by the Defenders on the Netflix shows. And the Marvel movies never really referenced the Netflix shows, except for Ant-Man. There was a bit of a Daredevil Easter egg during that.
I'm looking for this dude who's new on the scene, who's like flashing this fresh tack, who's got like bomb moves, right? Who you got? She's like, well, we got everything nowadays. We got a guy who jumps, we got a guy who swings, we got a guy who crawls up the wall.
So Venom 2 and Morbius referencing the events of Spider-Man Far From Home in scenes won't be that complicated. The movies are designed to be watched by children, so if you could take a child to the movie and they could understand it, it can't be that complicated. The one thing that the crossover deal does not include, though, is Venom coming into the MCU. That would actually have to be a separate deal that they work out. Never say never, but for now it just sounds like it's all going to be Sony's deal, figuring out how that works, and the MCU movies won't address that at all. So number 2, you may have heard the report last year after D23 that Sony was looking to sign a new contract with Tom Holland to cameo in Venom 2 in some small way. At the time, the big problem wasn't so much Marvel MCU politics or anything like that. It was really all just down to scheduling problems because Tom Holland had to do the Uncharted movie, which he's actually been posting about the last week. This is his Nathan Drake haircut. He's actually posting about having to work out with Mark Wahlberg. Right after they filmed that movie, he was going to roll into Spider-Man 3 production. This was before the big virus shutdown. The schedule hasn't really changed. They're still filming those movies back to back. But when this was all happening last year, the thought was that he wouldn't actually physically have time to film any scenes for Venom 2. There's all kinds of ways around that. You can still have your Spider-Man cameo scenes without having to have Tom Holland on set. You could literally just play a news clip of him from Spider-Man Far From Home on a screen that Venom walks by. But it sounds like Sony really does want to get a full-blown Tom Holland Spider-Man cameo scene in Venom 2 in some way. The J. Jonah Jameson cameo in Morbius was really just supposed to be him yelling in the news about Spider-Man being on the run as a fugitive from justice. I'm also assuming that the J. Jonah Jameson cameo in Venom 2 would be something similar, with just more updates on the quote-unquote Spider-Man fugitive situation. He's not really clearing his name till Spider-Man 3, so Venom 2 is supposed to take place before that, so technically during Venom 2, Spider-Man is still a criminal from justice, just like Captain America was after Civil War. Everyone post all your Spider-Man 3 title memes. But number 1, right now, there are also reports that Tom Holland has already signed a new Spider-Man contract with Sony for more movies, bigger movies, because his last contract was only for 6 movies total. Those were Captain America Civil War, Spider-Man Homecoming, Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man Far From Home, and Spider-Man 3. Earlier this year, Sony revealed that they did have plans to make Spider-Man 4, but they didn't say if they'd signed everybody to new contracts to actually make those. There's no official release date for that yet, but if they continue their past release schedule, it would come out 2023. And there was a big interview video that I posted a while ago where the Sony boss says that they do intend to continue sharing Spider-Man with Marvel well into Marvel Phase 4 and Marvel Phase 5. That'd cover Avengers 5, any big Fantastic Four, or X-Men movie crossover, wherever they want Tom Holland to show up in the movies. The way they talk about the big Venom vs. Spider-Man crossover movie, it sounds like that wouldn't happen till after Spider-Man 3, but there's no release date on that yet, and it would be Sony to announce the release date, so it wouldn't show up on the Marvel Phase 4 or Marvel Phase 5 schedule. But let me know in the comments, what kind of Spider-Man cameo scene do you want to see in Venom 2? Just a post-credit scene or something bigger? There'll be more Spider-Man stuff happening later this year between Morbius, Venom 2, and Spider-Man 3, so of course I'll try to do videos for everything. There's even been a bunch of Spider-Verse 2 teasers recently too, and we have the Miles Morales Spider-Man PS5 game that's coming out. So it is a really good time to be a big Spider-Man fan. When they actually release that game later this year, I'll probably do giveaways for copies of the game. While you wait for everything, everyone click here to watch Tom Holland talk all about Spider-Man 3, and click here for my Venom 2 trailer and Easter eggs video. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe. I'll see you guys tonight.